Andrew Heaney is an Oklahoma native, an Oklahoma State alum, and now he is a World Series champion. The lefty joined the Texas Rangers last offseason and became part of the franchise's first World Series crown. He shares why he chose to sign with the Rangers as a free agent, what the World Series run was like, and much more on the Jenni Carlson Show. But first, I want to say a word of thanks to these sponsors for supporting the show. Oklahoma Ford Dealers, Two Fellas Movers, MidFirst Bank, the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum, FireLakeJobs.com, Next Gen Roofing, 988, Oklahoma's mental health lifeline. Remember, drive into your Best in Oklahoma Ford dealers today for the best deals on Ford's full lineup of trucks and SUVs. Ford is the best in Oklahoma. And hey, if you're thinking about moving, let's face it, a box of pizza and a case of beer just don't work like they used to. Nobody wants to help you move, but we know two fellas that love moving. At Two Fellas Moving Company, we offer free, no-strings quotes for your move. With over 20 years experience, we've pretty much moved it all. Our services don't end up moving either. Need to do some remodeling or spring cleaning? We have you covered with dumpster rentals and junk haul services. Remember, quotes are free and there are no strings attached. If you're moving in Oklahoma, make sure to call the fellas. Visit twofellas.com for your free quote today. Well, Andrew, welcome to the Jenni Carlson Show. So great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, you've made some history. You're the first World Series champ on my show, so congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
World Series champ, though, those words, does that ever fully sink into your brain?
Yeah, it hasn't fully sunk in yet. It's so crazy. Like you play sports, you understand that like losing is a possibility, especially in baseball. Like you lose a lot of games. I mean, even if you're a really good team, you lose a lot of games. And, sometimes it just feels like you go on a little losing streak and that's, like, oh my gosh, we're never going to win again. We had a couple streaks like that this year. And then it was kind of obviously the opposite, in the playoffs where we didn't lose on the road. We just kept winning. We win. We're on the middle of the field. I'm like, I don't know what to do here. Like, it's just like, you don't ever really like plan for that. Like you envision it, but then when it happens, you don't really know what to do. And then from there, it's just kind of been just slowly but surely kind of setting in.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about getting to that point. I want to rewind all the way eventually to high school days, Putnam City High, yep. Oklahoma State days. But first, let's go a little shorter. Let's rewind to a year ago, 13-ish months ago. You signed as a free agent with the Rangers. Mm-hmm. Walk me through that decision. Did you sort of see in your mind's eye that this club could be building to something like a World Series, or why were the Rangers the right fit for you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, even go back 1 year further, I was with the Angels. I get traded over to the Yankees. I pitched horrible there. Going into my free agency, I ended up getting to sign with the Dodgers. And obviously they've got an amazing reputation of like kind of rehabilitating, whether from injury or poor performance in my case, and really kind of launched into, free agency one more time again with the Rangers. And so, I had the ability to sign back with the Dodgers. I ended up choosing the Rangers for a multitude of reasons. Being close to home, all of those things were important to me. When you're a free agent, you finally get to pick where you want to play instead of kind of being directed where you're going. But on top of all of that, like really genuinely talking with Chris Young, the general manager there, kind of hearing his description of what he envisioned for the organization, what he envisioned for the team. Being a former player, he kind of, I think, understands the mindset, the mentality of what players want, what they need, how they want to be treated, how they, all those things. And that's not to say that wasn't happening at any of the other places that I've been, but when you're picking a place, like you want to feel reassured that you're gonna get as much work as you put in. Like you want to feel like the organization is turning around and going to give that back to you. And I felt that in speaking with him. And obviously, like, we won a World Series. That's not necessarily, I wasn't signing there going like, this team has the best chance of winning the World Series this year, right? Like, I think it just was a place that I felt comfortable. I felt my family would feel comfortable. I was excited, obviously, to go join them. So all of those things. I mean, it was a tough decision. Like, I thought for the longest time I was going to sign back with the Dodgers. So it was definitely something that kind of happened late in the free agent process, and obviously really glad with the decision I made and how it worked out.
If people don't know, obviously you're from here, but so is your wife, Jordan, family ties here. So you talk about that. I mean, obviously, you know, when you sign with the Rangers that geography works out great, but did you have a moment personally when, you know, Chris is saying the things that make you feel good, but then you get into the clubhouse or to spring training or whatever the situation is? Was there a point you knew that you had absolutely made the right decision? I mean, obviously when you're standing on the field after a World Series, you know, but before that, before the winning came, was there a point where you thought, all right, I did it right here?
I don't know if there was any one singular point. Honestly, like, so I get to spring training. I knew of guys, right? Like, I played against Marcus Semien and Corey Seager and a lot of those other guys on the team. Obviously, being in the same division, played against a lot of the guys a couple years back with the Angels, and I think just getting in there and feeling like the leadership with the players that they, for a team that had just lost, 96 games or whatever it wasn't a feeling of like despair but like sometimes you can tell when you come into a season where it's like, all right, like, we're going to say all the right things. We're going to like say we're going to be better and we're going to put in the work and all the, say all the right things. Yeah. But it didn't feel like lip service here. Like, it was genuine. Like, I could tell, like, okay, these guys really think they can be better than what they were, the year before. Obviously, we had, DeGrom had signed right before me. Eovaldi signed, soon after I did. Obviously, I know how great of a pitcher DeGrom is, and I played with Eovaldi in Miami and know how great of a pitcher and a great person he is. So that was extremely exciting. I think just the energy, just even in spring, it didn't feel like a team that was like trying to just be better than they were the year before, right? Like, it wasn't, people were probably saying like, yeah, like, if this team can just finish 500, like, that would be a huge accomplishment. And I don't think guys like felt that way. I think there was a genuine sense of like, we should be way better than that. And so maybe that, like, especially the hot start that we got off to of the season, I think that like really solidified that feeling.
You mentioned earlier you'd bounced around the couple years before you land with the Rangers. Then, as you say, you get off to that hot start in 23. You're part of things, obviously, pitching, and from 90 losses to 90 wins that you guys had last season. I mean, is there ever a moment where you just find yourself pinching yourself, thinking like, was all of that meant for this? Just sort of the good things that were happening a year ago, the good fortune, was that almost like, pinch me, I can't believe this?
Yeah, I mean, it's very rare that you have guys have like career years at the same time, right? Like, everybody's career is so different. It just felt like, I mean, we had five or six All-Stars, 4 guys that started the All-Star game. I mean, that's like obviously just absurd to begin with. But it wasn't like first half flukes, right? Like, sometimes guys just get off to a hot start and kind of keep it rolling and then sort of average it out at the end of the year, right? Like, I think all of those guys, like, they are and were legit All-Stars, had amazing seasons, and you just don't see that in baseball very often, like, just having that many guys. So, I mean, I think, like, it is a little crazy how it all worked out. And then, you get to the playoffs, like, I think a lot of people, the narrative around Major League Baseball right now is that, like, the best team hasn't been winning the World Series, the best regular season team. The Braves were unbelievable. They got bounced by the Phillies early a couple years ago. I think it was the Dodgers this year. Like, I think there's been that feeling that there's some randomness to the playoffs, but like, I don't know. I'm on the team that won the whole thing. I'm not going to say that's random. Like, we were a good team all year. Like, we might not have been the best team. So I don't know. I think I'm rambling a little bit, but basically I think it's just like when you have everybody having great seasons the way it was, like, it kind of just felt like one of those things like, well, why shouldn't we do this? Why can't we do this? Like, I just don't think there was ever really that, like, doubt, honestly.
Yeah. No fluke involved with what you
Yeah.
guys did. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
For you personally, like you were saying, the year with the Dodgers, a franchise that has been known for really helping guys get
Mm-hmm.
further along in their career. The two teams in a year. When you think about where you were a year ago, just as an individual player, what do you feel like prepared you maybe in the lead up to 2023 to get you to where you were a year ago?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I said, coming off of 2021, where that was my worst year of my career, at least 100% of the worst finish of a year in my career. I mean, I got like designated for assignment, which is essentially the equivalent of like being released in other sports. Literally a week before I go be a free agent. It's about as like bad as it can get, right? Like, that's not a good way to boost your availability to teams going into free agency. And then, going to an organization like the Dodgers that kind of almost view that as an opportunity, and like changing my mindset a little bit when I get there, being extremely open and receptive to changes, ways to improve. I think, not that I was ever closed-minded or anything like that, but you get into a point where I had been in the big leagues for 7 years. I kind of just thought, like, this is just kind of who I am as a player, right? Like, this is what I do. I know what I do well. I think they did a good job of like kind of opening my eyes to sort of like, no, you have more in there. Like, you can do this, that better. And then kind of taking that with me to the Rangers, and sort of being a little bit more of like, having been in a place that's obviously been extremely successful, like trying to impart some of that wisdom on the guys, with the Rangers, but also like understanding that, there's always more room to grow, that change is not a bad thing all the time. It's okay to embrace, your, strengths, but, it just like, I guess all of those things, just kind of that open-mindedness a little bit, to new things, and not just from a pitching standpoint, new organization, new teammates, new everything, just kind of being more open and receptive to stuff like that.
So last year with the Rangers, how do you feel like you evolved if that year with the Dodgers sort of opened that door in your mind to think, okay, what else? How can I expand this? How do you feel like you evolved and maybe got better from the time last season started to the time it ended?
Yeah, one of the big things I wanted to do this year was just to stay healthy all year. I was changing a lot of the ways that I thought of my off-season training when it comes to, my throwing program, arm health, physical, just the way I was training. Brought that into spring training. Was really convicted in like what I was doing. Wanted to like stay on course. Sometimes it's hard, and this is kind of counter to what I just said, but sometimes it's hard when you get to a new organization. They do have new ideas, and you've got to know when to filter out, like, no, I'm going to stay the course. This is what I want to do. This is how I know I'm going to be successful, versus like wanting to listen and be open-minded and be open to change. And so I think with the Dodgers, I changed a lot of like my pitching things, mechanics, pitch mix, and just some grips, different things like that, like on the field more. But was sort of slower, and finally got into a spot like off the field with how I wanted to train, whatever. And so then I kind of found a groove and was like, okay, I know this is how I'm going to be successful. So I'm going to, I'm going to be a little bit more stubborn about the off the field stuff. Whereas on the field, I'm always open to some, changes and receptive to those types of things. Mike Maddox, the pitching coach with the Rangers, is much more into scouting reports, hitter tendencies, ways to sort of take advantage of sort of stealing strikes, whether it be, I won't get into the weeds about it, but he's really into that. He's really good at like watching video and understanding hitters, and that's something that I haven't been as good at. And so that was something I really wanted to be more receptive about, and learn more, kind of understand why he saw what he sees, and lean on some teammates that are much better at that than I was. So
yeah, why not use all those weapons to your advantage, right?
Yeah.
Well, you referenced this a bit ago, but let's talk about that postseason that you guys went on. You obviously, Rangers won their first 7 games of the postseason, just an unbelievable start to the postseason. Then had 3 losses to Houston, which forced a couple of must-win games.
Mm-hmm.
That was in the ALCS. So take us inside that ALCS series with Houston and just what all of the emotions and how you guys managed to stay focused when you really faced some pretty big adversity there.
Yeah. It was a culmination of everything. Obviously, we're both in the state of Texas, in the same division. We had played some interesting games throughout the regular season. We had cleared the benches a couple times. We had played some games where we got smoked pretty good. We played some games where we beat them pretty good. I think there's no love lost. I think everybody kind of on both sides, both teams, and the whole state of Texas, I don't know, maybe baseball fans out there probably wanted to see that as the ALCS. And so it came to fruition. It kind of had to be that way, right? It had to go 7 games, had to live up to the hype. So I think coming into it, obviously there was a whole lot, like, I don't want to take anything away from the Diamondbacks or the World Series, but like that kind of felt like the World Series to us, right? Like we lost the division in the last weekend when we basically held the lead the entire year. I think that really bothered a lot of guys. For whatever reason, it must have been, divine. I don't know what you want to call it, but they killed us at our place. We just could not beat them. And they scored like 12 runs a game against us in our place. Yeah. So we were pretty happy to not be playing at our place for game 6 and 7. We were like, let's go beat these dudes in their building. That was, obviously we had some heroic moments from Adolis and, our pitching, from, obviously starters, Jordan Montgomery and Eovaldi were unbelievable. And then just kind of pieced it together in the bullpen. And, I don't know. I mean, honestly, like some of that stuff I've kind of forgotten the details of, but just obviously the game 5 where Altuve hit the go-ahead homer, in the 9th after it was pretty gut wrenching. I remember sitting in the car with my wife, her family, and our girls were I didn't say a word the whole drive home, and I was like, normally I leave it at the field. Normally I'm pretty good about like I can be normal me when I get off the field out of uniform, but that one, like, I couldn't sleep. I think everybody felt that way, and I think everybody just kind of locked in and was like, this is not the way we're going to lose this season. Not here, not now, not to this team, specifically. So that was kind of the mindset, I think. It was an unspoken thing. Literally all year long, we never one time had a closed door meeting, or we never really had anybody stand up and give some impassioned speech. I just think everybody really had a group mindset of kind of what we wanted to accomplish. And so in some ways that was more powerful than any one individual, like standing up and saying anything. It was just kind of a group mentality and an understanding of what the goal was and what we needed to do to accomplish that.
So you win 6 and 7 in Houston, and obviously the emotion of all of that. And then, oh, by the way, you got to go play the World Series. Mm-hmm. So that being your first, what did it feel like stepping into that experience? Did you sort of have a welcome to the World Series type of moment, or how did you sort of process just where you were in those moments?
I mean, obviously there's just like so much more media, so much more hype around it. We had like a whole media day. We had all, like just things that even for the ALCS really we didn't do. We had to do all the like promo videos where we're like standing around looking at the World Series trophy and looking all menacing and all that stuff. And I'm just like, man, can we just play baseball? Like this is, I feel bad. Like I can't imagine those guys that do like the Super Bowl that have to do like the whole media week. And, so just like that whole thing was just a new, interesting experience. And I think, there was some, I know for a lot of baseball fans, there's probably some complaining about, it's the Rangers and the D-backs. Like these are kind of two teams that nobody really thought was going to be here. As a baseball, obvious, if I separate myself out from being a part of the Rangers, I thought it was really exciting. I think there was like really good young players on both teams. I think people are probably tired of the Astros. People are tired of, the Dodgers or the Braves or whoever's been coming out of the National League. So I thought it was exciting, but I think it was interesting that like both teams like hadn't been there in a long time, had a bunch of young players that had never been in hardly even playoff series, let alone like the World Series. So it's kind of a cool, interesting experience to feel like, well, it's not like we're going up against Goliath on the other side where we're like intimidated or we're feeling like, oh my gosh, this is the bright lights, this is too much. Like in a weird way, we were the like more experienced team, even though we really weren't by that much. So I think that just made it kind of feel more manageable, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. You get the game 4 start, and I don't know if people remember all the details, but game 3, it was a derby. You guys used a ton of pitchers. Take us into that game 4, just the mindset and what you wanted to do. And you went 5 innings, what you accomplished in getting that win in game 4.
Yeah, man, we're up 2-1 in the series. Obviously, like that's a big game. Every game's a big game. It's the World Series, but like you lose that game, now you're tied, and they've kind of reestablished sort of not the home field advantage, but definitely the momentum of like playing game 5 at their place. We're not all that confident playing it at our place at that point, like we had just really not played well at home for whatever reason. So I think for me personally, I was just like, hey, like I need to go out there, give as many innings as I could. It wasn't really a traditional start necessarily. Like it was going to be kind of a piggyback between myself and Dane Dunning. I kind of felt like I had the ability to, go 5 or 6 innings and give us like a normal start, kind of reset the bullpen, reset sort of the mindset of the team. So for me, like that was always kind of my mentality. It wasn't just like, hey, I'm going to go try and give the best 2 or 3 innings I can. I was like, no, I'm going to like try and get a win here. I'm going to try and, pitch deep into the game. And obviously we ended up scoring 10 runs in the first 3 innings. And that just completely makes it so much easier and so much more comfortable as a starter to just go try and be aggressive and, pitch to contact and try and get some quick outs. And, like, just thinking about it, like I was nervous in a good way. In the bullpen, I was like feeling really good. All my stuff was pretty crisp and hitting spots. And I'm just like, oh man, like, do I feel too good? Like, am I going to like, sometimes you just get this feeling where you're like, I need to have some kind of nervous energy going into the game. I can't feel too confident. So it was almost like I was nervous that I wasn't nervous or that I was too confident. It was like a weird thing. I don't know, but, and then just getting a couple clean innings. I gave up a hit right off the bat, but Marte was unbelievable this postseason. But after that, just kind of settled in, and that really helped sort of get me into the flow of the game. And obviously, like I said, offense scoring 10 runs, that makes it really easy.
Now, people may not remember this, but if my research is right, you guys had 2 guys go on the IR right before that game, right? Mm-hmm. And wasn't one of them Max? Scherzer went on the IR?
Yeah, Scherzer and Adolis. So that was Adolis Garcia, who'd been a, postseason hero for us, essentially carried us in the last games against the Astros, and just was unbelievable all postseason, really. And then obviously Max is Max. He's got the pedigree, he's had the experience, all the things. You know, like I just, and not to disparage those guys. Obviously, we know how much they mean to us, but like I just genuinely didn't feel any panic or any like concern from anybody in the clubhouse. Like really, like I remember like I went up to Travis Jankowski. So we played in the Cape Cod leagues, like a college summer league. We played against each other. He was the Cape Cod League MVP. So it's like the best college players. He was like the MVP of the league. So I always like joked with him. And so I told him before the game, I said, hey, Jank, like these people don't even know. Like they don't even know that you were the Cape Cod League MVP in 2012 or 11 or whatever year it was. You know, they don't even know. And he ends up going out there, he makes a diving play, has like 3 hits, has like a couple RBIs. It's just crazy. Like, obviously, I'm not saying Adolis couldn't have done that, but like when you think about replacing that guy in the middle of your lineup, and you got guys like that step up, you know, when Scherz got hurt, John Gray, another Oklahoma guy, John Gray came in and pitched, I think 4 or 5 like scoreless innings out of the bullpen. He had just been hurt. He hadn't really pitched that much, so it's just like guys just stepped up, and I don't think there was ever really a concern that was going to happen. Like I think we just, as a team, knew it's like, all right, like next man up. That's how it goes.
After that Game 4 win, do you think, here we are, we're standing on the edge, we're going to win this thing in Game 5? I mean, it felt almost inevitable at that point, but did you have that feeling of momentum? What stands out to you about, I mean, I'm sure there was a lot in the aftermath that is fun to remember, but what stands out to you just about that clinching game and winning the Rangers first?
Yeah, we won. You know, we won Game 4. We're up 3-1. We go back to the hotel, and we had we had a group chat with the whole team like all throughout the year, and mostly just joking around, like nothing ever really that serious. And a couple guys just sent a few texts that was just like, it wasn't so much like, it was more like, hey, like remember where we're at, what we're playing for. And, you know, there was one, it was kind of like, hey, like we do this, we're legends forever, right? Like the first group to win a World Series for the Rangers. You know, I think a lot of guys kind of understood what, you know, the 10 and 11 World Series, you know, the 11 World Series heartbreak with David Freese and all that. Like, I think they know what that meant, like how deep those wounds were to a lot of Rangers fans, to even Rangers players, like guys that, you know, played on those teams that are still around with the organization. And I think guys like understood the magnitude of that. And so it's like, there's no way we're going to screw this up, right? Like, it was just kind of like, hey, we're going to win it. We're going to go win it now. And we're not going back home. Sorry to our home fans. It would have been cool to win it there, but like, we're not messing around with this. Like, we're going to go win it. And I just think it was just kind of an understood thing. And just like, hey, we're right there. Like, this is not the time to like get cute. And then of course, Zach Gallen goes out there and he's amazing for 6+ innings. He no-hits us for a while. And it was one of those games where it's like, all right, like you want to win it. Like you got to do this, you know, you got to like fight through it. They weren't going to roll over and just give us the World Series. So, you know, just a kind of a fitting end for our team. I feel like kind of the way it went. It was like pretty good summation of our season.
Yeah. Just took control and took advantage when you had to there.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it's so interesting you mentioned the fans, because I was thinking you guys get that celebration, the parade, the rally, all of that you all got to be a part of, and to then see some of those people that have been through the ups and the downs and to enjoy that had to be fun and crazy and, you know, awe-inspiring all at the same time to be in those moments, because boy, Rangers fans showed out for that celebration.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, it was just so cool. Like, just because we were kind of like, we were down in the clubhouse and just sort of, we had to get there early because we had to get in before all the crowds and everything. So we were kind of hanging out down there, and you're sort of like isolated in there, and they were taking guys up sort of like 4 or 5 guys at a time, sending them on a truck, going their way. So it was like, I get in the back of the truck with my wife, and we have our, at that point, I don't know, 3-month-old, 4-month-old twin girls. And we had one strapped to our chest, each of us. And we get on the back of the truck and they just like pull out and you're just like, oh my God, there's like on either side of the street, just 20 rows deep all the way down for this whole, the whole way. I don't know how long the full, circle was, but it was just people on rooftops, people on flagpoles, people on light poles. Like it was just so cool. Just seeing how excited people were. Like it was just like a surreal feeling. I grew up, born and raised Oklahoma City. Like obviously a lot of Ranger fans around here. I have people texting me saying like, dude, you don't know how much this means to us. Like we've, for the last 10 plus years, just been, killing ourselves for not, getting to win a World Series and getting one out away and literally one out away. Like that's close as you can get, like one strike away. I'm actually pretty sure. So, just having all people that I know text me that, just feeling like relief. Like, I don't know. It's just such a cool thing to be a part of that. It was surreal.
Now that commissioner's trophy, obviously iconic, but isn't like the Stanley Cup or anything. Like you haven't got a chance to have that at your house or anything, right?
No.
Okay.
No, we kind of like, we got to pass it around, and after, like on the field afterwards, guys were like taking pictures with it. Like I had my daughters and my wife and her sister were all there, and we were kind of like trading babies and trophies and whatever, taking pictures. And so we got some amazing pictures with them, and just kind of like on the field. And then we did a little bit of like couple like appearances, and the trophy was there. It gets traveled around, but it doesn't get like, unfortunately, we don't get to like go party in Vegas with it or anything like that. It's pretty protected. So
I think you should lobby for that. Make that happen, Andrew.
I know. I think that would be cool. Unfortunately, like the way it's shaped, you can't really like chug any beverages out of it. So it's not, it's maybe not as fun to play with, I guess.
Yeah. I would worry about something getting broken. It seems like it's highly likely something could get bent.
Yeah, it's all there though. Like it's not. It's pretty heavy. It's all there.
As you get to a point in your career where you reach a milestone like this, I always wonder if athletes get reflective. I know obviously you've got more baseball in you. You're getting ready to go back to spring training shortly, but do you think about the Putnam City days, the Oklahoma State days, maybe even back into youth baseball, and just things along the way that helped you get to the point of winning a World Series?
Yeah, I've had a lot of people that have been extremely instrumental in my career. Obviously, like born and raised in Oklahoma City, and everybody along the way that, from my little league coaches, high school coaches, all those. I'm still in contact with a lot of them, at Oklahoma State and everything. So, yeah, I could go on forever about, all the people that have helped me, that have believed in me, that have, all the things that, there's plenty of times that I was like, man, I don't want to play baseball anymore. In the minor leagues, I have a rough one where I'm just like, I just want to go home. Just want to be, I'm on like Twitter and everybody's posting pictures at the lake, and I'm like grinding it out in El Paso, Texas, or, wherever the heck I am in the world. I'm just like, getting a 9 to 5 and going to the lake on the weekends in the summer sounds way cooler than this. And, you lose perspective sometimes. And then obviously you win a World Series, and then you go, yeah, I think I'm okay with like missing out on, a decade of summers, at the lake, if that means, a culmination of all of that is winning a World Series. So, definitely reflective in that way. Yeah. It was really cool. Just like seeing all the people that reached out, people that are watching that, I probably assumed that they were paying attention, but just hadn't, directly heard from them in a while. And so that was just really cool. Just kind of bringing it back, I guess, like you said, kind of like back home to just everybody that was instrumental in helping me get to where I am.
Before we let you get out of here, gotta look a little bit ahead here, as you've been in your off season getting ready for another year with the Rangers. You picked up your player option, so you're back with the Rangers this year. What has this off season felt like? Has it felt different? Less pressure, more pressure? How have you sort of approached these months between World Series championship and back to spring training?
It's definitely been a different off season. Like I said, I got I got 6-month-old twins, so it's been very much a different off season. I've been up and working out at 8 o'clock in the morning, throwing bullpens at like 9 in the morning. That's normally I wouldn't have seen 9 in the morning in a normal off season. So that's definitely been different. But it's been good. I'm feeling really good, kind of tinkering with a few things to try and, get a little better like you do every off season. And, this weather makes it way more exciting to think about going to Arizona. So I'm excited. I think, coming into a season where you're defending a title, there's always that extra probably anticipation and excitement and sort of the responsibility, right, to go out there and you can't just win a title and then go miss the playoffs the next year. It kind of makes it look like maybe that team was kind of fluky. Maybe that was just they had it all, working at the right time. But we still have a lot of things that we want to achieve. I mean, I know everybody personally wants to continue with their careers and go into more all-star games or go into their first or winning a gold glove, all the personal things that everybody wants to do. But as a team, we didn't win the division. We lost the division to the Astros. I think that still bothers a lot of guys. Bothers me. I know I want to go rectify that. I'm just excited to see the guys. No team is ever the same, right? We've obviously already lost players. We're going to have new guys come in. But we're lucky enough that we had a core group that's going to be back next year. This year, however you want to say it, that it's going to be really exciting to just be with those guys again and kind of just reestablish ourselves, right? Reestablish the identity that we had last year and see if we can kind of pick up where we left off.
And you leave for spring training in a month-ish? Is that about where we are?
Yeah, usually the first week of February.
Okay.
So yeah, it'll be less than a month now.
Wow. I assume the babies are probably not coming to spring training?
Babies are coming.
I think my gosh. Wow, look at you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just 2 months. I don't want to go 2 months without them, especially they're starting to kind of do cool stuff now, so I want to be there for all of those things. And my wife, Jordan, you said earlier, Jordan's she's amazing. She's a trooper. She's done it for been professional baseball for 12 years now. I think it's my 13th year. So, I mean, we've done all the different things. So this is just kind of another new hurdle to get over, is how to figure out how to get infants across the country and back. So we'll figure it out, but that's part of the lifestyle.
Those frequent flyer miles, your girls are going to love that.
Oh yeah. Well, they're already spoiled. Their first road trip, first time on a plane, they went to Arizona for the World Series. First time in a hotel. First time really sitting through a full game. So they're spoiled. They're gonna have to get used to slumming it at spring training games. So it'll be fun.
Expectations will be high for them and probably some of those Ranger fans as well.
No doubt.
Well, Andrew, hey, thanks for joining us. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it.
Cool. Thanks, Jenni.
Yeah, and thanks to everybody for watching. If this was your first time hearing or watching the Jenni Carlson Show, be sure to subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. And you can also download our new Sellout Crowd app for your iPhone or Android. Thanks again for being here, and we'll see you next time.